From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon. I'm Augusta McDonnell. We've got your forecast in just a couple minutes, but first let's get right to our top story. A busy 4 months in Montana politics kicked off at 10:30 this morning on the front steps of the Capitol in Helena, where Governor Greg Gianforte and other statewide executive officers were inaugurated. The Republican governor is beginning his second four-year term. This inauguration is going to look a lot different than Gianforte's first 4 years ago, when the ceremony was held on a smaller scale because of COVID-19. Our Jonathan Ambarian was there this morning and has this.
A crowd gathered at the front of the Montana State Capitol on Monday morning as Governor Greg Gianforte officially kicked off the start of his second four-year term in office. This inauguration ceremony came with much more pomp and circumstance than 4 years ago, when the ceremony was much smaller due to COVID. During his inaugural address, Gianforte touched on many familiar themes, highlighting his efforts to lower taxes and make it easier to do business. He says Montanans voted for a continuation of his conservative leadership and said Montana can make an example for the rest of the country.
Montana remains a frontier for every American to reach their full potential. That's because the best of America and the American dream lives in Montana. And it's here where we are proving what is possible when the government gets out of the way and empowers the people. Today, I am optimistic, not just about Montana's future, but about America's future as well.
Also sworn in Monday morning were Gianforte's running mate, Lieutenant Governor Kristen Juris, and four statewide executive officers, Secretary of State Christy Jacobson, Attorney General Austin Knudsen, State Auditor James Brown, and Superintendent of Public Instruction Susie Hedlund. Now, we've also reached the official start of the Montana Legislature's 69th session. Both the House and Senate are currently holding swearing-in ceremonies. 150 lawmakers are taking the oath of office and beginning 90 days of work. We'll have full coverage of that later on your MTN stations. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Happy Monday, everybody. As a lot of folks finally coming back from the long holiday and reality sets in, we'll have our local forecast coming up. But first, what's going on across the U.S. Your headlines for the 48s. Moderate to heavy snow from the Ohio Valley to the Mid-Atlantic states through late tonight. Light rain, freezing rain over parts of the Ohio Valley to the Mid-Atlantic states today. Also, there is a marginal risk, at least 1 of 5. That's a marginal risk of severe storms over parts of the southeast as we cruise along today. You can see down there from Georgia down into Florida, that green shaded area where we have better opportunity to see some of that wicked weather. Here locally, some areas still have a chance to see some snow through tomorrow morning. We'll take a look at that with the local forecast coming up.
The 2025 legislature convenes today ahead of 3 months of policy work by state lawmakers. Our Michael Wolf met with some new faces yesterday as they got a crash course on bringing new laws to life.
New members of the Montana legislature participated in the fourth ever How the Sausage Gets Made event on Sunday. Grinding, seasoning, and packing. These 3 steps of sausage making are more like drafting, reading, and voting on legislation than you might think. The event, which has become tradition, was moved to the Union in Helena for the first time in its 4-time history, in part due to the need for a larger space. It aims to provide time and space for legislators to meet peers and build working relationships. Event organizers took 14 aspects of lawmaking and paired them with sausage making to highlight similarities for lawmakers. 2 types of sausage, pork beef breakfast blend and sweet Italian, were made. Meat used in sausages was locally raised in Montana. Each legislator got to take home a pound of sausage to help them fuel up for the session. For more on this story, visit your local MTN station website. Well, I'm going to chuck on an apron and help the new legislators make some sausage. For now in Helena, Michael Wolf, MTN News.
New this session, for the first time in decades, draft bills will not be available to the public. According to Montana Free Press reporting, this means any record of who's being consulted while the bills are being written is redacted. That can mean lobbyists, lawmakers, and other stakeholders. These changes went into effect this September after a court ruling which granted Republican Senator Keith Regier of Kalispell privacy in his communications about a 2023 session bill. In June, Regier successfully fought off an attempt to produce his communications with third parties concerning the redrawing of the state's 5 Public Service Commission districts. According to the Montana Free Press, a government watchdog and members of the public are suing to stop Montana's legislature from concealing these back-channel communications. But as the session kicks off today, those details will not be made public, awaiting the next steps in the court process. And the Republican Party holds a majority in both the Senate and the House this year, but Democrat lawmakers did flip a few seats in the 2024 general election to take away the Republican supermajority that ruled the legislature in 2023. At noon, the Montana legislature's 69th session gets underway, and members of the House and Senate will take their oaths of office then. They'll have 90 working days to tackle the state budget and other big issues. Precision agriculture uses data to help agriculture producers manage crops and livestock more efficiently. In today's Montana Ag Report, MTN's Tommy Lynch takes a closer look at how the company is planting seeds for sustainable and smart agriculture.
Outside Shoto is not exactly where you'd expect groundbreaking technology to be developed. However, it was over one firewood sale that an urban software engineer found his way into the agriculture industry. Shoto, Montana might not be your first thought for high-tech strides in precision agriculture.
It's like AI for farming as far as soil sampling.
But Shoto native and owner of FarmTech, Doug Wiest, might change your mind.
This is a cool way to apply, science to farming.
FarmTech aims to optimize a farmer's operation via soil imagery and crop health. However, it does more than give you the data.
Taking all that information and not just making a pretty map, but actually making decisions for the farmer, which is our Farm IQ platform.
FarmTech's growth meant Wiest needed to add a programmer to his team, a tall order in north central Montana.
Finding someone that you can call and text and have dinner with that can write software is pretty unique, I think, in today's world.
Chicago native and new Shoto resident David Cymbalista fit the bill.
The reason I found David is he sold a batch of firewood to me and had just mentioned, hey, if you ever need programming, and kind of blew him off. And 3 months later, I was calling him.
David moved to Montana with loads of programming know-how, but little to no agriculture knowledge.
I probably didn't know the difference between a tractor and a combine.
His love of puzzle solving pushed him to take on this challenge.
I love just figuring things out and being able to do things that I've never done before.
Just a year into the partnership, their work is yielding results.
Now we have an online platform we're building for the farmers in the area, and it's really just come so long of a way in the last year or so that we've been together.
Doug and David hope FarmTech will be serving over 1 million acres in the next few years.
To more or less touch that many people's lives and to touch the food they eat, all the farmers, right, who depend on it for their livelihood, like it's going to save them a lot of money, produce more yield for them.
A perfect partnership that almost never happened.
It's kind of 50-50. I do take a lot of responsibility for making it accessible, but Doug is kind of the one that has that farmer experience. He knows the touch that it needs to have to make sure it's a success.
Your crop could totally be different in a month.
And for FarmTech, the sky's the limit.
There's really cool stuff out there you can build, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
These farmers need every advantage they can get, and technology is one that can definitely help them for sure.
In Shoto, I'm Tommy Lynch, MTN News.